how much do I need to retire is a common question that I hear, and it's a really important one. I was reading recently a popular financial person's blog, Dave Ramsey, and he was weighing in on the subject of retirement. And I think Dave really helps so many people when it comes to debt elimination and figuring out the baby steps and saving. He does such great work there. But when it comes to retirement planning, in my opinion, you might want to think twice about implementing some of the advice that he gives. And I'm going to go over it with you today and why you might want to be careful and what you can do instead that might put you in a better position. So realistically, you probably don't want to implement anybody's advice without meeting with them and looking at your specific situation. So I would much prefer doing that versus listening to someone on YouTube or somewhere else on what you should be doing with your money. So talk to someone that you trust. So anyways, as I was looking at Dave and what he thought about this, I'm going to bring up my screen and show the page that I've got. This is the recommendation. So the question is, how much money do I need to save for retirement, right? So here's the rule of thumb. What's here says that if you're able to live on 8% of your nest egg, and here's why. If your mutual funds can do 12%, you'll have 4% to cover inflation. Okay, that makes sense. 12% is we'll talk about that in a sec. And here's the example. So if you want to live on 40K, he says you need 500. So take your total nest egg and divide it by 0.08 to get that income number. So this is, in my opinion, it's a little bit risky, and here's why. Number one is this term that's called the sequence of return risk, and this is what it means. So a person in 2007, someone who retires in 2007 versus someone who retires in 2010, they're going to have drastically different outcomes of their retirement. If they were taking the same amount and their investments did the same thing, the outcomes, because of the withdrawal rates, has a big difference. So here's this example continued. So if you've got 500K and you're taking out 40K, okay, in this scenario, yeah, 8% withdrawal and you're averaging 12% somehow, which again, I want to talk about that. But let's say it's 2007 and then the financial crisis happens. Well, what if the investments, because you're invested aggressively, get cut in half and now you need 40K to live? Well, really, now you're taking out 16%, and that could really crash a plan, in my opinion. So that's something to be careful about if you're listening to this. The other thing that's important is this idea of the 12% rate of return on mutual funds. If you're achieving that sort of return, my thought is that you'd have to be invested pretty aggressively, right? And sometimes people who are in retirement, they don't feel like taking that sort of risk and going along with the roller coaster that could be investing in equities, especially looking at 2020 and what happened in March. There's fluctuations that happen. People in retirement don't always want to do that. So a lot of times we'll bring up the bucket strategy, the 3-bucket strategy, and I'll include a link below to that video as a possible retirement withdrawal strategy to look at. Now, the last reason that this idea and some of the things that Dave's saying, in my opinion, is you might want to watch out for is the chance for unexpected expenses in retirement. And here's a scenario. I'm going to show my screen again and look at an actual example. This example of having a 500K nest egg, and I can't draw on this part of the screen, but 500K nest egg to start that first year in 2020. And in the scenario, achieving a 12% return and taking out 8%. Wow, that plan looks successful. You're actually growing your assets in retirement. Fantastic. But what if you were off by 5K of expenses? What if you really needed 45K per year instead of 40? Well, that's a big difference, right? That drastically impacts your plan. Now, what if you were right, you had needed 40K a year, but what if instead of 12%, you only got 10%? How does that impact the plan? Let's see, you can see the impact that it has and the harm that could happen if that's how you were planning. So that's just a couple reasons why you might want to just be careful when planning. Make sure that you do talk with a professional and map it out and think of all the different scenarios. So as an example, if this isn't the best way to go, in my opinion, then what is a good way to go? I'll give you the high level. And step one is really similar to Dave, is just decide how much you want each month. That's step one. Step 2 is estimate how much you might be having come in from Social Security and other pensions, maybe other guaranteed income sources, and then subtract that from the monthly amount that you figured out. And then step 3, as high level, is rather than using that 0.08 number or 8% number, take the number from step 1 minus step 2. So let's say you needed $5K a year and you're going to get $2,000 from Social Security, so $3,000, and then multiply that by 12. So 3,000 times 12 is 36, and then divide that by 0.04, which is more of a reasonable 4% withdrawal rate. But again, this is still basic. The 4% withdrawal rate isn't bulletproof. It's an opinion. It's a financial withdrawal strategy out there. But really, I recommend meeting with someone specifically and looking over your scenarios, just you and really not anybody else's. So a lot really depends on the money that you have invested and the withdrawal rate that you're using. As an advisor, we've helped hundreds of people plan retirement, and we know that the more specific you can get in your plan, the more peace of mind you'll have in retirement. So if you're interested in that more peace of mind, reach out to me and I can help create your streamlined retirement blueprint, or I can give you the perfect retirement plan, the guide that we created, where that can help walk you through steps to take for your retirement plan. I hope that was helpful. If it was, please subscribe, and then I'll see you in the next video. Take care.